the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Welcome back to Winter Wolf's Den, guys. We're not going to waste any time. I'm going to bring in my rock-solid panel of people that are going to help me take apart the newest offering from Alex Kurtzman's idiots over there at Bad Robot. Dude, it's new Trek, it's bad Trek. I'm calling it sad Trek after this. It's like the title and the thumbnail said, folks. This is when you got to tell your kids, we're not buying this. We have Star Trek at home. This is it. Like, this is exactly that kind of show. You know, imagine, if you will, I'm going to paint a vivid picture here for you guys, right? Imagine if you waited your entire life to get the first Batman movie, right? But instead of getting Keaton Batman like you got, they started with Batman and Robin. That's what this show, that's what this movie felt like to me, dude. Like, I kid you not. Like, you were talking about you had to watch it 2.5 times, dude. I watched it 1.33 times because I made it to the same place twice and fell asleep twice, stone cold sober. And I'm like, I can't do this. I can't watch this thing in one go. I can't.
That's why the extra half was in there, because the first time watching it, I kind of dozed off.
Oh my God.
I was so sloshed after watching the first time that I couldn't remember exactly how it ended. So I went back, I rewatched the ending, and then of course today I went and rewatched it from beginning to end.
See, I think it's wise that we don't do anything on this channel like drinking games for bad movies like other channels do. Like, take a drink every time something about Star Trek is stupid. Like, I'd have been dead by the time they left the nightclub in this movie. You know what I mean? That's only like 15 minutes. I'm about 240 pounds. Like, I can handle my liquor, but this might have killed me.
I have a load of hair on my chest for a reason.
You know what I mean?
King, how many times did you watch this?
I listened to it while I was at work on Friday and caught things here and there. I caught the gist of it.
So in other words, I'm the only one here perfectly qualified to describe
No.
film.
I watched it when I got home. Listen, when I got home from family today, I watched it straight through, stone cold sober after a light meal, so I could stay mentally acute and ready to go.
Oh, so you did watch it. You did watch it twice.
No, because I only watched it 0.33 times yesterday, twice to the same part in the bar, and then fell asleep.
You tried twice.
No. When I was talking to you last night, I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I might call this at like 30 minutes. You're like, no, come on, man. I already watched this once. Don't do it. I felt bad. So I was like, all right, I'll watch the whole thing so we could do this legit.
At that time, I told you I'd watched it 1.5 times.
I know. Dude, I can't believe that I actually sat through this, but I'll say this just so we can get the discussion going, right? I think this is one of those movies, honestly, this might shock you guys, right? That if it didn't have Star Trek Section 31 on it, it might have just been a crappy Sci-Fi Channel movie that I'd watch on a rainy day on a Saturday and then forget totally about, but like not want to eviscerate, you know?
Right, exactly. And this is where I'm split, because I have to give this a rating based on being Star Trek and also a rating based on being just generic science fiction. The generic science fiction rating is actually a C-.
Fair. Yeah. I think I'm on board with that.
Look, this movie started out with one iconic frame. It had the Star Trek logo backwards, and that emphasizes everything that this film stands for.
And you know, they pat themselves right on the back for that. Like I was saying before we started, they're like, it's because it's the Mirrorverse. They'll all get that. Like, yeah, we get it. You just don't know the meta reason this is bad.
I like the mirror universe in classic Trek. I don't like what they've done with it in recent history. And one thing I will say, the only good point about this film, the only thing that they got right in every angle, was saying that Philippa Georgiou is a monster. She is a monster. She's just the most evil person in history. And they talk about her genocide and all the other things that she's done in the film. So I ask you, why did they put her in charge of Section 31 originally in
Discovery?
In Discovery, right?
No,
I was gonna say
It's
track.
mostly you got to do it to be able to hunt them down. You got to be able to think like them.
I
They-
mean,
they-
listen, I get it. They want me to think that, but I'm like, no, I just can't do it. King, what did you think of this overall? Because I think of the three of us, I was kind of thinking this concept. We're kind of like probably like the three bears here. You're gonna be baby bear. I'm gonna be mama bear, and Magesguild's probably papa bear along the scale of who likes Trek, like where we are as Trek fans. So you're probably right at the bottom. I'm in the middle. Mages is probably up here, going back to like classic Trek. So as baby bear, what did you think of this movie as it was with what you caught?
So other than the really poorly written script, I would go with, like you said, it's a good was it Kung Fu Master Theater on Saturday type movie. I mean, I didn't have that many issues with it. One, I liked a couple of the actors. There's some really good actors in that, and to be able to pull that off believable. But some of the plot points were dumb, and I just got tired of the nano dude, or I should say the Scottish Vulcan.
no, he was Irish, not Scottish.
Irish.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah.
He's Irish.
I know you picked it on Mages. I know you picked it.
Yeah, the Irish Vulcan, who wasn't a Vulcan. I think it was too easy. Like everything was like too easy, and everything was pretty much to the point, on the nose. There was no like big mystery or anything like that. It was pretty much straightforward.
We talk about that all the time, me and you, King, when we're talking about it's just A to B to C to D. We're in, we're out. I'll give it credit. At least the runtime wasn't 3.5 hours long. That might have dropped at about 6 points for me out of a 10 scale.
No, I think it was the perfect amount of time.
Yeah. About 90
Imagine
minutes,
this.
hours, whatever it was.
96 minutes.
This was originally designed to be an 8-episode series.
And you know how you know that is because they left in, I think, some of their title cards where it was like message 2, message 3. I'm like, that was probably the beginning of each episode.
This is literally in my notes. All of those title cards, the nonsense, it's in my notes. This is what I wrote. The constant barrage of throwing text on the screen with little symbols is silly and pointless.
Yep. Because you know it's left over. That was the opening shot of those respective episodes that they crammed together.
I don't think it was going to be like 8 episodes. Not the way that they finished it off. I think this was supposed to be the pilot, and then they added to it to make it a feature-length film.
They did that
where they were going to build a series out of it because of how the ending was shot.
It's the inverse. It's absolutely the inverse. They originally intended. It's the announcement from, I think, 2 years ago was they initially intended an 8 to 10 episode Section 31 show. And that got canceled. And I think that they must have had a contract obligation with Michelle Yeoh and decided to make this in the end. But I tell you, it's improved for that very reason, because imagine if this thing dragged out for 7 hours.
Oh God!
The pacing in this was actually good.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Because
it
it
got
had
to
a
the
decent
point.
feature runtime, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was 96 minutes from start to finish, so it didn't keep you too long. But the way it was edited, then they did a fantastic job editing it for if it was 8 episodes worth of stuff. What I think they might have did had 8 episodes written, and then they come back the script to make it shorter. If that's, but the way that it wrapped up, it looks like it'd be the like the Battlestar Galactica reboot, like how they did the movie and then they did the new series. I think it would have been that type of thing, whereas like Section 31 would have been a new series where they had the Monster of the Week type, which Star Trek is known for.
The ending of this is basically saying, please, Skydance, please give us a show. No, it's not going to happen.
Never
it's over.
Happening.
It's dead on arrival.
Let me tell you, there's a better chance. I would put down a year's salary on this. There's a better shot that Skeleton Crew gets a second season or the Acolyte gets a second season than this gets a second season.
Which that was already canceled. And you own $1 to the pot. You said the name.
The Acolyte is getting nothing. The Skeleton Crew show might get a renewal or some type of
I think
spin-off or follow-off.
I don't think it had enough bang. I mean,
I don't think it had to do
wish-
with
we had fun with it, but it's not getting. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think it had enough bane. I don't think they could go anywhere else.
Yeah, the kids are home.
I think they can do a spin-off of Jod.
Oh, I mean, maybe, but I mean, just is he compelling? Not that I want to get all sidetracked on our Star Trek show, but is he compelling enough of a character to bring anybody else in along for a spinoff? If Star Wars was in a better position globally, maybe, but I think that they're just so down that I don't think a relative unknown is going to have any carry for a spinoff right now.
You know that the name of my channel is Star Wars Complained. So I think that Jod's character is compelling, and he's the only thing that I liked in the entire show at all.
Highlight for me.
SF-33.
Oh yeah, he was funny. I like the droid.
It's Nick Frost. I mean, come on.
Well, let's continue to crap on Star
Well,
Trek.
actually, I got a question. Since we were already on that track, who do you think's in worse situation right now? Star Trek or Star Wars?
Let's get that to Mages first. Yep. I knew he was going to say that. Explain why.
Because
give me the why, Mages. Yeah.
You have this diminishing returns factor. They created Star Trek Discovery, and in the first episode of it, Michael Burnham is pointing a phaser theoretically at a Klingon, but she's actually aiming at her own head. If they had just had her shoot herself in the head and rolled the Looney Tunes, that's all, folks, I would have given that show an A++ S tier show. But
and it would have saved the world as we know it.
I literally forgot all of the events of Series 4. I was watching some videos about it, and they brought up comments about Season 4 and said, oh my goodness, I forgot that existed.
Because it died so quietly, man.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds has become the musical of the week show.
Yep. That's why I stopped watching that after Season 1.
Oh,
like,
no.
It's not awful.
Have you read the stuff that they said they're going to do and start in Strange New World Series 2? It's insane. These people are insane. And Skydance reportedly I have 2 different sources confirming this, saying that they want to shut down Star Trek.
Oh, I've seen those stories. I've seen those stories out there.
It's not.
I've seen those.
I do not trust it when it's only one source, but when I have 2 or more telling me the same thing,
if it's
then I have to think maybe it's a thing. And with Star Wars, they're not shutting anything down. Kathleen Kennedy's still in charge. Dave Filoni has his movie where he's gonna play a part in his own film, apparently
based on his own character from a Clone Wars thing he did.
By the way, if you didn't know this, you're going to know this now. That character, the language they created was just him speaking bad French. He couldn't pronounce French properly, so he said this character needs a language, and someone brought him a script in French to read, and he just couldn't pronounce the words.
That doesn't surprise me.
We're
going to be there for that.
Well, I mean, what's the purpose of having power if it's not to abuse it and put yourself in your own movie? I mean, come on.
There it is. Twice.
Well, that's the Russell T. Davis attitude too. Just self-insert everywhere,
right.
And
Star Wars was all about those.
As far as
I was in my own movie that I wrote.
That's different, King. That's not any power. You wrote it. You produced it on your own dime.
You know, I've written films. I have never portrayed a character in a film that I've written, even when I have based some of the ideas off of myself. And those ideas
proper separation.
Those ideas are like, this character should have a beard. That's the extent of my self-insertion. This character should have a beard.
It was either me or my wife in both of my short films. So,
yeah, but again, this isn't you taking the reins of a multi-billion-dollar, generation-spanning IP.
I would 100% do it.
But then, of course, you're a power-hungry madman. Of course,
even if it's just like someone running down the street away from the monster, and I'm just there, and
you just have a Detroit jersey on.
Yeah, I'll have my Jameer Gibbs on, and we'll be happy.
I'm not interested in being a cameo in my own show. That's just my.
I might do it for the funsies, I guess. If I just like some Stephen King cameo and like one of his bad movies, I could see myself doing that.
If I did a show or a film and someone made a sequel to it and asked me to cameo in it, like Bruce Campbell did at the end of Darkman,
Yeah, I
that
can
would
see
be
it.
different.
I can see that. That'd be fun. I can get in with that.
I mean,
but it wasn't fun watching the bar scene of this crappy movie twice because to get us back on that kind of stupid track.
I do want to mention, if that nightclub was a real place, I would go to it because I love the opera. I love the music that they were playing. That was a good element of the show. I think it's going to get overlooked, but
the costume design for the people at the club was also really good as well. I think it caught the aesthetic of the ambiance.
I like the actual design of the station itself too. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. Kind of like a spiraling nebula kind of central structure, but then like the docking rings around it. I kind of liked it. Nifty, interesting. Visually.
I've seen that before, and I'll tell you where. It's the logo for Lex.
Oh yeah, I could see that. I can see that now that you said it. Okay, so
that's in my notes. It's just a logo for Lex turned into a battle station. But yeah, the wardrobe, the costumes, I have no problem with the actors and actresses in this show at all. I think they all played their parts well, but it's not Star Trek.
Well, that's the problem. And I think everybody else has kind of hit it on the head already. And I'm sure both of you will agree, but I'll say it for folks that, might pop in and listen or catch this later. Did they just take an idea for a spy thriller part of Star Trek and say, fuck it, we need to make Suicide Squad? Because that was this. They even had the damn montage where they explained who all the operatives were. And I'm like, this is Suicide Squad. But it's
honestly, it felt more like the Fifth Element.
The club gave me Fifth Element vibes hardcore with the opera singer. I thought I'd point that out. It did feel like the Fifth Element to me in that respect. But just bringing the team online and being like, this guy's a chameleon, and this one over here that he's trying to do super sexy fun time with, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no.
Giorgio figuring out who all of these operatives were in the first 10 seconds of speaking with them. That makes no sense. Come on.
It was stupid.
Either the people playing these roles, the characters in these roles are so bad at their jobs that they can't blend in to this gigantic multicultural
ever.
Yeah, exactly. The worst operators ever in this gigantic multicultural club of species from across the galaxy. That she can identify them immediately? What is that?
When she
nonsense.
I don't get it.
It's just to move the plot. It's literally just to start the plot.
That's what we were saying. A minute ago. And King talks about this all the time. Is the A to B to C to D, just to move things along, where nobody has to struggle, or even not even struggle, apply effort, or try to like bait and trap one of them into revealing that they're Section 31, and then she demonstrates by action that she's actually a step above them and she's ready to play their game. Like, no, it's just like it's him, her, and which one is this one? Oh, she's Starfleet. I'm like, well, fuck, fast forward for 10 minutes. I don't care.
I mean, Giorgio's the bestest person ever.
Only when Michael Burnham's not around in this.
I mean, it's a standard, like in all spy genre, you have the master who they're trying to bring back in and like showing where everybody's making their mistakes. I mean, it's a common trope in these type of genre movies. Even though Star Trek is its own genre, it's pulling that spy element in, and that's what it's pulling in. You just see it in different shows all the time, where it's like that person's casing the store, that guy's on surveillance, or you like see the criminal walking down the street and he pits out the electrician who's watching him and making a phone call when he leaves.
He stops and checks the reflection on his phone.
It's the same type of thing. Yeah. So really, I mean, it's just tropey.
Giorgio actually fucks up their plan more than they could ever have. They could have just apprehended the dude and taken the. I live in America now. I'm allowed to use the word. They could have just apprehended him and taken his little briefcase and be done. Why did they need to involve Giorgio at all?
I had that idea in my head, and I said to myself, I think they tried to tell us that the reason they couldn't just arrest the terrorist with the galaxy-ending bioweapon was because it was on the wrong side of the treaty border. So they had to go in undercover, and they were hoping they could use her to keep things quiet by bringing her into the op and use her club But I'm like, I would have
No,
just sent in
no.
a Black Ops team to just get this dude off his shuttle. And then
That would make sense. That would actually be
Movie
good
over.
writing.
But you're just making up headcanon. They're
Right.
Section
I'm doing
31.
their job.
They don't care about borders.
Right,
When
exactly.
Section 31 is implanted into the Romulan Empire, for crying out loud, they don't
That's
care
because
about
they
treaties
don't
or
know.
borders.
But that's because these idiot writers don't know what Section 31 is. We all know what Section 31 is. They don't.
Well, it's
You know?
certainly not what it was in Star Trek Discovery. Open policy, black badges, walking around, telling
Special
everybody what
ships.
to do. And by the way, they brought back Control. Why is
God, that was the
Control
worst.
back? They destroyed Control in Discovery because it was an AI that wanted to wipe out all of humankind. But they brought it back for this. What idiot is in charge of Section 31 that brought back Control?
I might have an answer for that because
That'd be Jamie Lee Curtis.
That would be Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, I want to be on Star Trek. The answer might be, because I had to go back and look up why, because I thought Philippa Georgiou had to go back to the mirror universe at the end of season whatever of Discovery because she was
Season
phasing
3.
out. Was it season 3? Okay. So when I looked up, when they gave us the date of this show, this movie, this takes place between seasons 1 and 2. So was Control still active during seasons 1 and 2 of the show?
No, Control was destroyed in season 1 at the end of season.
Then they fucked it up. There you go. You were right. They ruined it.
Oh wait, actually, hold on. It might have been the end of season.
If it was 2, then they get the pass.
If it was 2,
Georgia wasn't fading out.
Yeah, it was 2. It was the one with the Red Angel, I think, was Control.
Red Angel suit. Yep. Okay.
I mean,
that's how they get
asking me to remember stuff that I've actively tried to delete mentally.
I've actively avoided it as much as I could, just all the
because
following channels.
Season 1 ended with the captain going into the mirror universe and then bringing Giorgio in, and then I think Control was season 2. So this is supposed to take place between those eras, not
according to the couple of Google searches that I ran. Yes, it's between 1 and 2.
Because as far as I understood, the premise of this was that she went back in time and then became a bartender.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I'll wait.
They don't know, man. They don't know. They don't know either, man. They know as much as we do, which is considerably, I guess,
they
less
know
than what
less.
I was thinking.
They know less than we do. That's the problem.
Facts. Let's talk about some other things from the show here, just beyond its simplicity, right? I wanted to give them nods for good, and I'll jump on this.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about the introduction where they show the kind of quasi-election of the Emperor of the Terran Empire, which makes no sense canonically.
And also how it makes no sense within this movie itself, how they try to reverse what she thinks happened situation in the ending, but okay.
I think what happened is that, I forget what his name is. I was going to look it up. The guy that played the captain in Discovery Season 1, I think they couldn't get him back for this show, so they made up a new enemy for her.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I can really surmise as to why they created this new character of San.
And because I've never watched Discovery, I had no idea if that was actually just part of her canonical background.
Oh no, this is completely new.
Okay.
This is out of nowhere, and I should have done my due diligence and looked up his name. I even made a note in my notes to look up his name, and I still didn't do it because the show gave me alcohol poisoning.
It happens.
But this San person is a completely new character, has nothing to do with Discovery. But they make these opening scenes and they show her murdering her family to win the throne. And then she uses a sword that was put on Gleeds to burn his face and become his. That has nothing to do with the Terran Empire. The Terran Empire has always been taking power by force.
In the Hunger Games, like they made it out in this crappy movie.
Well, you could go with this type of story arc. You have to think of like the warrior king who challenges the king to be the next pretty much to take power, like the son challenging his father for power of the tribe. You have to think of it like that, where these two were challenging for the throne that was probably vacant. They didn't explain that too well, but it was probably vacant. So they made these two compete, and whichever one showed that their true strength was that they could, do whatever it takes to win, was the one that would be to lead them into the future. So that's what you can take with that.
Unless they said that it happened another way. You know what I mean? Like that's a fine system to have. But if canonically that wasn't their way, and I think that's what Magesguild is saying, that was never the way that they had done their ascent to power business before.
Look, all you have to do is go back and watch
But I agree. That's
Mirror Mirror from the original series, where they show that people will murder their captains, and the captains need personal guard to protect them from it for promotion. And Enterprise in A Mirror Darkly, episode parts 1 and 2, where they show that the Empire's throne is taken by force.
There you have it. So, I mean, if it's got that canonical, it's already been established that way, then the Hunger Games thing,
it's
really
literally established that way. This is all right. I'm just gonna say I have not watched the cartoon Star Trek thing, but the last episode where they show this is potentially a different timeline entirely.
Lower Decks. You're talking about Lower Decks. Okay.
Lower Decks. Yes. I watched one episode of that show.
The pilot was out. Yeah.
One and done. It's not made for me, and I don't care, because at the time I was not doing these reviews. I had been in retirement, and I said, nah. But canonically, the way this empire works is that promotion is by execution or assassination. And even in Star Trek Discovery, they showed that captain Lorenz or Lenz or Lauren or whatever the fuck his name was,
Yep.
took the throne by force. He conquered the empire by force and kicked Giorgio out into the Prime Universe. That was shown. Right. That was shown within their own continuity. So what is this trash? What is this nonsense? Go ahead.
And to justify that, it could be that the throne was vacant.
But if the throne is vacant, that means that someone has killed the previous emperor or empress. So they would be the emperor or empress. The throne can never be vacant based on the way that this society is structured.
And even if I think as an in-between, just as a thought, right? If it was even vacant temporarily, society as a whole probably wouldn't have resorted to the Hunger Games with a bunch of children or young adults struggling for a year and a half, because they said it took 18 months to sort out who's in charge. It
would be all of the politicians. It would be all of the politicians killing each other to get power. All right, let's put it in perspective. Sorry. Imagine that the emperor or empress or whoever is in control dies and has no heir. All of the people under them would be in a violent battle or struggle for power. It would not
the heads of the military. Yeah.
It would not be what we got here, where they selected, I think it was 40-ish.
They had a bunch of junior officer types. They were in their like young 20s, early teens or something.
I forget what number they
for
said.
A year and a half.
It was over 40 people. It might have been 80 people. I forget, but
they said 18 months. That's the number I remember. Is that this shit took a year and a half? Go ahead, King.
Well, I mean, they could have had an accord. Which, if you ever saw the most fantasy, and there are the high families that would be vying for the throne, usually they sign an accord to limit the bloodshed so they could be more powerful trying to go forward. That was the whole purpose of her creating that weapon, was to keep the Terran Empire in power of everything. So this could be an accord that was assigned for her and like the other ones to compete, and then the winner gets it all to take them into the future. They did not explain that well.
I was going to say, but that's us doing their job again.
Yes.
To be fair. We're doing their job.
No, I refuse to write headcanon for stuff that isn't properly
I gotta get
explained.
better about that. Yeah, I gotta get better about that myself. It's fun. It's not wrong. We've got a bunch of videos on doing that because it is kind of fun.
I
But
think
yeah,
they just
I'm not here
they
to get
just
their money.
they just wanted their Game of Thrones moment.
God, but it didn't work. It didn't work, and then it doubles down on being not work later when they repeat at the end of the movie on Sansa's death. Like, she's acting upset that he's dying. She's acting upset that like she tried to like regurgitate the quote of "We're not two, we're but one." But I'm like, bitch, an hour ago you were like, "But not anymore."
Well, this
This
is what
you're a terrible person. Stop it.
Power corrupts.
this is what I commented about the day before it came out. They're trying to redeem Giorgio, and you cannot redeem the mustached man from Austria cannot be redeemed. I'm sorry,
Right.
it's just not possible.
Nope, not remote. Like, she killed her immediate family to take control of the Terran Empire. Right now, if you wanted to tell me that like that swap was done in the name of peace, and then she ruled as a benevolent ruler, I'd be like, still probably not redeemable. But I'd give her moment if she sacrificed herself and died at the end, which she did not do because these assholes can't write. They can't write that character anymore. You know,
Well,
like
again,
she was going to make the big sacrifice, but then didn't because we did some tech bullshit and this dude made a 50-50 shot and picked the right button to push to kill the bad guy and bring him back.
They're just
Stupid.
begging Skydance. They're just begging Skydance. Please don't cancel us. Please don't cancel us, because Skydance is going to cancel them.
Nobody likes this fucking character. No, dude, I challenge anybody to remember the names of any of these characters that isn't Giorgio 3 days after they watch this movie.
Oh, I literally don't
know?
remember the names of
Say
any
it.
of the characters other than Giorgio, and I've watched it 2.5 times. I did, however, like the Metamorph dude. I
was
thought that
Quasi.
Oh, dude, yeah, clever name, guys.
Fuzzy,
Clever.
whatever.
Quasi.
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 Which
Yeah.
Fuzzy was the
Buzz was the dude in the suit, the little micro nanokin thing. The only name I remembered until you guys said those was Mal, because she was the hot Spanish chick who, for some reason, they put in a fucking bald cap for the movie. She's gorgeous in real life.
No. It's not for some reason. She's a Delphian.
I don't care.
Yes.
Delphian.
Pick a different race. Have her black hair.
No. The Delphians are actually established canon from Star Trek 2, right?
Again, fine, but then make her a fucking Beta Z so she can just have her dark hair like Deanna did, because this woman in real life is fucking gorgeous. That's all.
Well,
I'm saying.
I thought she was attractive even in the bald cap, but that's not.
Can't do it.
Look, all right, that's you. But
Yep.
I'm sad that they killed her off so early.
It was at least they killed one of them though, because that was my concern. I'm like,
well, they killed more than one of them.
Well, I mean, they got around to killing like the bad guy one and the useless, stupid white guy one. So like both of the white guys died. That's typical of Star Trek under Kurtzman anyway.
You know,
I'm going to point that out.
I actually, and this is a testament to myself. I didn't notice that the people that died were all white.
Mm-hmm. Just saying, the two white guys, one was stupid and one was the bad guy.
I literally, until you brought that up, I didn't even notice that fact. And
an Asian guy died too.
Really?
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
The woke people hate Asians and think that they're the same as white
adjacent.
people.
Yeah, they're white adjacent in every way until they need them to count for their stats.
So
anyway.
I guess it'll get an extra downgrade for that element of wokeness. I was gonna give it a D+, but it's just a flat D now.
So did you recognize Alok, the actor who played Alok, pretty much the leader?
No. What's he been in? Is he on your recommendation list that we were just talking about of dudes that should play?
No, he's the Old Spice guy. The guy in the towel.
Mustafa, what's his name? The guy that's the centaur in the Old Spice commercial?
It's the Old Spice advertisement guy. Yeah. Who cares?
Maybe it's a different guy.
Omir Hardwick?
Oh no, there's another one that was named Mustafa something or other.
Isaiah Mustafa. Yeah,
Isaiah Mustafa. That's what I'm talking about. You wish you could watch this because your wife wishes you could watch this, and then she wished she could sit on the back of me because he's a centaur or something. Yeah. That's the one I was.
No, it's like look at your man, now look at me.
Look
at your man, now look back at me.
That's right.
Sadly, your man's not me.
I'm also like, and also I'm a centaur because I
remember
him having the horseback.
And what's this? Your wife's favorite? Now it's diamonds.
All right. So before we go completely off the rails,
I'm good.
Let's
Go
move
ahead.
on to the
Yeah, yeah.
segment where Giorgio puts the little thing on the case
Yes.
and then on herself.
This is the
I have
thing
a question.
I wanted to say.
I have a question.
It's
Why
so
doesn't
stupid.
why doesn't she fall through
Through
the
the
floor,
floor.
and just drift
Yes!
off into space?
Yes.
I mean,
it's the same
Ghost.
question
I know-
about Ghost.
I knew, dude. I knew what both of you were gonna say. It's crazy that I had both elements of that in my head, dude. The reason ghosts can do it is because you're already thinking you're there, so they can stand on the floor. She threw the thing at the case, which didn't fall through the floor and basically into outer space, and then she clipped it to her belt, and the same thing didn't happen. It was
right.
fucking dumb.
She's walking through walls, but
Right.
neither
falling through the floor.
neither
Not
her
a ghost.
nor the
She's not a
case
ghost.
fall through the floor. I know Star Trek has done this before, and I have called it out when it did it before, and it did it in
Oh
the
my
Next
God.
Generation, and
Dude,
I think
wait.
in Deep Space Nine. But this is just and
Hold on.
Stargate did it
Side-
too.
My side hurts. But
I
gotta
call
double
this
down on it.
out
It's
Also,
every time I
The
see it.
Flash.
The Flash, yes, the Flash did it as well. Dude,
Uh,
anytime they start talking about resonating on wavelengths, they get away with this shit. And the funny part, the best part of the scene, is when San shows up with his own phase pod thing, and they're slugging it out in phase world. She reasons she has to shut hers off so he can no longer hit her. I'm like, why would these two things have been on exactly the same frequency anyway? Like, she starts dodging his shots because she's afraid his gun's gonna hit her. I'm like,
Because he needed to pick up the case.
Well,
how would
unlike
he
in,
know what hers was tuned to?
look,
Maybe they're
unlike in
just a
Stargate
default
SG,
setting.
No, no.
Come on, everyone uses default one.
Oh my fucking god! That's like having your password be password or 1234 on your luggage. Holy shit!
That's
I love
exactly the combination of my
Spaceballs.
luggage.
Yes, deep cut. Here we go, boys. Now we're
No,
rolling.
no one would guess the combination on my luggage, but if you take
probably
enough
in
time,
Klingon.
you'll get there because it's only 9 digits. But
Then the king might actually
look,
guess your combo.
I think the first time that I saw this type of problem was in Stargate SG-1. And I
It's been a
called
minute
it
since I
out.
watched that show, but I would have said the same thing.
I called
it's
it out back then. If you're out of
Mhm.
phase and you can move through the walls,
You're
why
non-corporeal.
are you not falling to the center of the earth?
And then through it, and then keep going.
Or-
Same reason
well,
why
no,
ghosts can walk through walls but not fall through the floor.
It's
You-
not the same thing.
You'd theoretically potentially still be in gravity, so you'd be in the Earth's
That's
core,
true.
but
is
and you'd be out of phase, so you could survive that. But how would you get out?
Do you really think that's air you're breathing? Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, but that was dumb. That was dumb.
Stargate,
And to finish, God, I don't want to finish that scene.
Stargate is a great show, but it has some flaws here and there.
Yep.
This, on the other hand, has all of the traits of Kurtzman Trek. Nobody thought about this premise before they filmed it, and I don't even know if they scripted it or if they storyboarded it. It's hard to
I'm
tell
guessing
with
storyboard.
this.
No,
No,
that's why they
um,
call it science fiction and not science fact.
Oh God, no. Dude,
Well,
there's lines, bro. There's
it's-
quality
it's-
lines. You know this. You're
it's
being
science
provocative. I like
fantasy.
it still.
I mean,
But it's not
but-
good science fantasy. Science fantasy's fine. You know what I mean? This wasn't any good.
I made a post the day before this show came out that this is basically Star Wars at this point. They're just Section 31 and all of this stuff. It's just the Jedi versus the Sith.
Why couldn't they just come up with like a 3-letter acronym instead of Section 31? That just seems kind of like.
I don't know. I see.
No,
you put
they-
section in the tagline.
They do have a 3-letter acronym. The hashtag is S31. Literally
Yeah, I knew,
on
like-
on X and on YouTube, the hashtag for this show is S31.
Oh shit! I gotta add that to our metadata then. But the end of that scene, right, is when she falls out one more wall and then somehow gets her foot stuck in the other room and can't grab the case. And I'm like, all right, so your foot's not amputated, even if I'm willing to accept that.
All of
when
the
she goes
fight
to reach-
scenes.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So-
all of the
So
fight
she's
scenes
reaching
in
for the
this are
case
terrible.
and can't get it. And then the man in black comes and gets the case and gets away. And then somehow she gets her foot out of the wall. Like she unphases and then rephases in the hallway. Like, what was the mechanism of action that you just didn't do that in the first place? I don't get it. I honestly.
Why is her foot stuck in the wall if she's phased out of reality?
because she needed to get stuck so he could get the case.
Of course, because the plot needs to happen. That's the problem. It's all control. That's why, as general science fiction, I rated this a C-, which is like a 3 to 4 out of 10. It's contrived to all hell in every act, except possibly Act 3, which was the only act that was memorable at all.
And I didn't even particularly enjoy Act 3.
Neither did I. I'm just saying that it was memorable.
What was the most memorable part?
Them flying a trash truck.
That was pretty cool. The tractor beam trash shield was pretty cool. I'll give it that. That was all right.
By the way, not yesterday. Day before yesterday. It was yesterday. I posted the meme of Trouble with Tribbles, the garbage scow meme.
I'll have to go back and check that. I haven't seen that one. I mean, it was applicable.
Hold on. You've never seen Trouble with Tribbles?
No, the meme. No, the meme.
All right, it's when the Klingon says, "I didn't mean your ship is a garbage scow. I mean it should be hauled away as garbage."
Oh, I do remember that. No, of course I've seen Troubles in every damn series that they relive it in. They copy it to death.
One of my best friend's ex-fiance was obsessed with Trouble with Tribbles to the point where she would watch it every fucking day, and her entire flat was covered with posters of Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, there's you got to call the 800 number and get some behavioral health. Every day.
I don't.
I'm the guy to talk to for that.
I don't tell people how to live their lives, but when she invited me over to watch Star Trek and she wanted to watch Trouble with Tribbles 3 times in a row, it's like,
thank you for the drink. It's been a lovely evening.
Have you heard of Balance of Terror?
Or any other number of excellent episodes spanning several good series, but what wasn't good. It wasn't a good series. Is the middle of this movie.
Look, Balance of Terror is the best Star Trek DOS episode ever made. Right up there. What's the one where Obsession is another excellent one.
Oh, we got a from.
By the way, tell me why the guy from the split face planet. I know that their race is potentially still alive in this time of this show, but why is his hair black on one side and white on the other? When in the original series, it was just their complexion and their hair was red.
Because they don't know that.
No, is this more ginger genocide?
Ginger
genocide. It's ginger's fucking genocide. They had red hair.
You know it. They didn't know it. Let me read out Coffee Black. Thanks, buddy. Section 3 was very generic. Yes, we said that at the opening. I think that's how we started. Fuzz is officially the Jar Jar Binks of Star Trek. Dude, I don't know, man. I wouldn't mind hanging out with Jar Jar. He's kind of annoying in movie form, but I get the sense he's a good dude, and he wouldn't annoy me on a personal level. I want to smack this dude Fuzz like 8 times.
He's going to count my babies.
Right, yeah. And weird. And they're all named after viruses. Weird.
Don't forget, Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord.
Sith Lord. He's the power behind it all. The middle of this movie is the weakest part by far.
Absolutely.
They try to resolve the recovery of the bioweapon nonsense. They get stranded on a planet. We got a whodunit that goes on for about 4 seconds.
We get a mole.
We get a mole.
Standard CIA movie.
Yep.
This is where I fell asleep the first time.
All right, I got to the bar and when she couldn't get the case, and then I fell asleep.
No, it's like I got to the middle of the film and I was just like drifting off. It's like, what's going on? Nothing. More plot that doesn't need to happen.
It vaporizes itself, much like a Marvel show or a Disney Star Wars show does, where they say we've got a mole, they detain one of their own. Oh, wait, we got some clever DNA evidence. It might be her, but I'm like, it's not.
Of course,
it's not. You know what I mean? And like you were just saying, it was every CIA tropey Act 2 thing ever. And I'm like, Okay.
There's a mole, and then there's the false lead, and then there's the dead body, and then the who did it, and then it's back to, and then the quick reveal. That's exactly how they did it.
I want to point out that the blood on her fingernail was never resolved in the entire show.
Nope, sure wasn't. How'd that get there? She never touched the guy ever. You know,
there is no scene that establishes how that. There's no scene that establishes how she got blood under her fingernail.
Maybe she has an itching allergy and she was just scratching too much and got a little blood on it.
It was his blood. Was she scratching his itch allergy?
It might be. She'd be scratching his itch.
Your head cannon.
There's going to be porn of this. I swear. This is going to become
Rule 34. Is that what it's called? Is that
Rule 34? Rule 34. This is no longer Section 31. It's Section 34.
34. Dude, it should be. It might have made it more interesting in the middle, man. Because that like the whole resolution of them being stranded on the planet because they shut the mystery down almost instantly, even before they do the big reveal where they're like, wait a minute, the guy with all the tech shit killed himself, and we have a guy on the team whose specific function on this mission was to invade and corrupt the tech shit on our target. Like, okay.
And don't get me started on his wife later.
Oh god, with the worst Southern hick US accent ever. Like, Jesus Christ, people, leave us alone.
And use the same actor. Like, why would he use the same body?
Or Starfleet bought two of them. Like, why?
And again,
for what?
I will compliment the actor on being able to play two different roles.
Yes, yeah, we're a big fan of that on this channel. We even pointed that out on
I don't think we said anything bad about performance or acting in this. It was mostly story. It was
terrible writing overall, not just story, because the dialogue, and this can be a big chunk of my discussion right here. One of the worst things about New Trek for me, besides the shit plotting and story, is stop making these people speak like I do 300 fucking years from now. They're supposed to be the best of the best. They're fucking Starfleet. They don't talk like they do on Discovery. They talk like they do every show from TOS through fucking Enterprise. Like, enough with them swearing on the bridge and not respecting command structure, not being the top of their game, overreacting in situations that like college kids wouldn't overreact in. Stop.
And this is just Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're Alex Kurtzman.
It's the same reason why Tarantino couldn't write a Star Trek movie.
Oh, right. He'd be too blah, 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 like I do.
Yeah, he'd be in violation of Starfleet code.
Like, you can only get away with that once. Like that trope where like you get the rough and tumble sergeant that slugs the captain in the face because he's about to get everybody killed. That works once, like it did in Aliens. You know, we're finally like, sit down, fucking Gorman. You're gonna get us all fucking killed. You know what I mean? But like every fucking character on every show and every series they've done for like the last decade has been that fucking trope, and I'm over it. I'm over them saying asshole. I'm over there saying shit. I'm over the dude. Garrett in this episode said whatevs. The Starfleet officer who got promoted to lieutenant commander says, whatevs. Like, no, stop.
Well,
fucking stop.
This started in Picard. It started in Star Trek Discovery. It's just an Alex Kurtzman trope.
Yep. They think it's Buffy. They legitimately think it's Buffy in 1998.
I got to give you the quote. Pure fucking hubris.
Pure fucking hubris. That's when the swearing came in, but the other bullshit of them having the Joss Whedon banner, that goes back.
That's Discovery. But there are two topics I wanted to bring up real quick now that we're transitioning from Act 1 and Act 2. Mecha dysphoria.
Oh, God. Because everybody needs a DSM-5 diagnosis, don't you know?
Exactly.
They've all got mental illness. They can't see fucking people.
They spent the entire end of Act 1 arguing with each other like bloody children.
Yep. But Mages, they think that's funny. They think everything is Suicide Squad. And if you don't have that witty banter, you can't be the next Guardians of the Galaxy team. They completely missed the point that Guardians of the Galaxy worked because they all actually worked together at some point and accomplished shit.
Maybe it's just me because I'm a fan of Douglas Adams and his style of comedy, you know, satire and parody and all of these things. But I laughed at this show one time when I was completely pissed out of my mind, and it had nothing to do with the comedy they were trying to inject. Second issue,
What was the time?
I actually don't remember. I just remember laughing.
Because it's funny you mentioned that because I remember like chuckling out loud once also, but I don't remember what it was, and I'm not going back to watch it.
Exactly.
I'm hoping you knew what yours was.
When I watched it in full the second time, stone sober, I didn't laugh at all. It was only the first time, and it wasn't me laughing at their jokes. It was me laughing at whatever the crap they were doing.
That's what I'm saying, because it was for me the same too. It was more situational than it was anything they intended to do.
This is a key point. In this show, they have this rift to the mirror universe. They completely ripped off that idea from Starship Farragut.
I'm not familiar with that.
It's a fan film series, and one of them is called The Crossing, in which the mirror universe has a rift, and they're trying to invade the Federation.
Oh, cool.
They literally stole the premise of this show from a fan film. Starship Farragut, The Crossing.
It's not even a good premise to steal. Like if you, and King can comment on this as well, because he'd think this way in terms of storytelling. They're talking about two things. They're talking about ion storms conjoining, and they basically intimate that this is something that happens on the regular somewhere in explored space. Like, how would the Federation on the real world side not be aware of this fact and not be investigating and or guarding this fact? They're aware that the mirror universe exists. Why wouldn't Section 31 have that shit staked out? Why wouldn't they know? What do you think about that as a stupid point of entry into our universe?
As you saw a normal ship, when it got close to it, the radiation was actually pulling the ship apart. So you probably couldn't get close enough to actually study it.
Buoy outside safe distance, just like a black hole.
Here's the thing. That happened in that episode of Starship Farragut. A ship went into the rift and was trying to keep it open, and when they blew up the ship destroyed the rift destroyed the ship.
Oh, I see. All right.
This I'll send you a link to the episode. Watch it and tell me that this is not just completely stolen from other people's better ideas.
We know they steal shit. We know they stole the idea for the stupid ass spore drive. We know that they've stolen the idea for like the tardigrade stuff from other creators that had lower budgeted or fan produced things that weren't even optioned to them. We know they borrow artwork all the time.
You have to. I mean, if you don't, the first movie that ever did FTL, everyone else is copying FTL.
Dude, you don't have to take it verbatim, though, dude. You got to put the fresh spin on it. These guys just don't. They just
both hyperdrive and warp drive were taken from previous works verbatim.
That's fine. I don't mind stealing a small concept. In my science fiction literature, I borrowed the idea of space folding from Frank Herbert. That's not a crime in and of itself. I do it a little bit differently than he did.
Right. You couldn't have navigators from a guild of navigators running on spice, because that's exactly the same thing.
I don't. I have psychics that are wired directly into the machine.
They're different. They do the same thing, but they're different things doing it. So yeah, of course you can have that. Dude, we can all have FTL drives. You got the King drive, you've got the Mages drive, I've got the Wolf drive. That's all you need to say on the paper, and I'm good.
There are only 3 realistic forms of faster than light travel. You have warp drive, you have hyperspace, and you have fold space. What else is there?
Slip space.
I was going to say slip space. Is that
variety of warp? There's also
how does that differ? How does that differ from fold space or hyperspace?
I would have put that in I would have put that in one of the other ones. It's just that's what we're saying. That's just a different name for one of those concepts. So it's different enough.
There's also black hole. And
wormholes. Wormholes are the fourth category.
Wormholes, wormhole drive, and also there's tachyon drives, where you pretty much you break down. No. Tachyon drives where you break down into molecular structure and travel through space, and then it puts yourself back together. It's been used in 7 different sci-fi series.
It's just
they're all related, and you just make up your new name for it. These guys legit took your King drive and put it in their Star Trek drive, and I hate that. They need to be different shit. They just need to be different shit. But anyway, Back on this crappy movie.
I have to mention that everybody that goes through a Star Trek transporter dies and comes back as a different person.
As a copy. Yep,
Yeah.
as a different person.
And
That
you know
always creeped me out, man.
the size of the hard drive that would have to be for each person?
It would actually be larger than the size of the observable universe.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm still terrified by the notion that it takes me apart and can't put me back together in exactly the same way. That's always, I'd be the Barkley up in this group. Believe that. I'd be like, oh no, no. Get me in the shuttlecraft.
I'm the Leonard McCoy, Leonard Nimoy. I'm not going through the transporter.
Yeah,
no,
I'll
ever.
do it, but I'll be the one that comes back with psychosis. But I'll be proven right that there was something in the transporter stream. That'll be.
I have issues with the concept of the Stargate doing that. The transporters even more horrific.
Is that how the Stargates work though? Oh yeah, because they had to do that disassembly because they show that as you shoot through
they particleize you and reassemble you at the other end.
That's assuming that the other end doesn't have the shield or the iris over it and closed, which also terrified the fuck out of me.
Believe me, that episode where they had the Nazis, where the guy is fleeing the planet and says, "Please let me through, please let me through," and then you just hear the splat. That was satisfying as all hell.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, this show is taken from everything. You can't just say that it copied that short film. I mean, it copied every CIA thriller where there's a briefcase or suitcase bomb. It's just a trope. You can't really go without it, especially when you start talking about parallel universes and stuff like that. You're going to have an opening.
I just wanted them to be better at it, because then I wouldn't care that when they tried to play their aesthetic cards, like the phase pod thing. Like if they were better at the tropes, I wouldn't probably care so much that the case didn't fall through the floor.
And I don't mind tropes. Tropes are good when they're executed properly.
Yeah, because it's structural integrity of your project, right?
The problem here is that most of the dialogue is just banter. It's not funny. The characters are uninteresting. Like I said, I couldn't remember their names. That says something, because
that's all they had. That's all they had were names and one quirk. They were the worst kinds of NPCs.
But I remember the names of the characters in the Acolyte.
Oh, dude! I mean, we need to talk offline. Then we get you purged of that. You owe $1 for the pot.
We can actually
do an entire episode.
Oh, dude, we should do that.
We have a commercial.
A commercial. We should. Oh, dude, I did make that commercial, didn't I?
You did make that commercial.
I never mind. I forgot. I have to re-air it. I should have re-aired that. But I think you're 100% right.
What you should do is go and watch my video, which is currently contested under copyright, about how the Rings of Power actually ended.
Oh, that's gonna be a riot. When that gets, if that's
it's on my channel. No, it's contested under copyright. I want to edit out like 10 seconds of it, but I can't because it's under copyright contention, and I'm not allowed to edit it during that time. It's just a couple of frames where it shows a volume slider, and it wasn't my volume slider. It was in the clip that I used.
That'll do it.
Oh, like just real quick on 5 seconds.
Real quick on the characters, right? They had names in a single quirk, and like that was it. The only one that had a remotely interesting backstory was, what was his name? Allure, the captain of the team. I'm an augment. I was my family was murdered. I got augmented by the person that killed them all.
I forgot that he was an augment until you mentioned it.
Or other Sakar. I don't know.
It's ALOK.
Alok. That's what it was. Alok, right?
That feature comes up as a mention once and is never referenced again, nor is it used in any positive way to develop the character.
At the end, he fights a robot hand to hand and wins. So maybe the augments gave him the edge to not get destroyed in a hit by the robot. But then I got to take points off of that scene because the robot's grunting and groaning as it's getting hit, which it should not have done. Like that doesn't make sense. Why are you getting the wind knocked out of you? You're not bringing
he's also being controlled by a microscopic organism that shouldn't care.
Exactly. That's why are we putting on the show? They know you're the inside guy. Like there's no pretense to keep up here. But I figured that's why maybe he could go toe to toe with the synthetic. That was it. That wasn't stated. Not that it needed to be. Maybe that might have been too obvious.
You're having to make up headcanon for something that should be more
It should be more
obvious
pronounced. It
or
should be more in the foreground, right?
right.
Right.
It should be in the show itself, saying all they had to do was have the character say, you know what, I might hate my augment past and my heritage, but I am going to kick your ass.
Useful. Yeah, true. What?
How hard of a line is that? That line would have been
That's
killer.
the problem.
Yeah, we're coming up on our time, so let's go ahead and just go around and get our final grades.
That's what I was going to do. You go first. You got the audio version of the movie. So it's a
All
different
right.
take.
So the audio version, I did get to see some of the scenes because first thing I recognized was Sam Richardson. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that guy because he was in Ted Lasso and The After Party. So, and it was a standard type of comedy that he does. So, but overall, I think the dialogue was done. It was over tropey. I think they tried to shove too much into 96 minutes. But I mean, if you take the Star Trek out of it, it was a pretty B-filmish sci-fi film that, I mean, I'm not upset I watched it. So
yeah,
I'd give it a C minus for effort. I mean, the aesthetic, the lighting, and the acting was all on par. They just wasn't given much to do with.
So you said C minus. That's where you're landing.
Yep.
Yeah, fair enough. That's kind of what I expected out of you because you're a little bit more forgiving of some of the things and the IPs that we like are usually a little bit more forgiving than I am. Mages, what do you got? Grade it.
All right. First off, before we get to grading, I want to mention the Doomsday weapon was insanely retarded. Why would you just create a device that's going to kill quadrillions of people? It makes no sense.
I can't have it. You can't have it in terms of the universe, I guess. I don't know.
So there's no redemption to Philippa Georgiou. She is a homicidal maniac, and I'm glad the film stuck with that. As far as generic science fiction, I already said I give it a C minus. Mm-hmm. As far as Star Trek, I think I give it a D to a D minus, somewhere in between those. I think I agree with IGN on this, that it's a 2 out of 10, and I might go even further.
That was glorious seeing that. The comments, people being like, I didn't know they knew that number.
Exactly. I've never seen IGN review anything below a 4.
7.
So
I've seen them go 7. I can't remember the last time I saw a 4.
I've seen
a while.
4. But how would I compare this to, say, Borderlands? I think this is a much better film than Borderlands.
Thematically, I think it all worked out. I've seen it. Yeah,
Borderlands is nothing but ADHD people scrambling around having fights and nothing happening. Yep. This, at least, there's some.
Yep.
Well, the Borderlands film has nothing to do with the video game. I'll
use some of the names. That was it.
I'll be getting to that. It's actually one of the next thing. No, I think I already reviewed it. Anyway. I think it's better than Borderlands. I think it's better than a lot of the stuff that's come out of Marvel and Disney. Is it a good Star Trek film? No. Is it a good film? Not really. Is it a decent film? Acceptably.
Let me ask you a connecting question in conjunction with that as far as Star Trek films go. How does this stack up against any of the next generation films? Like, is this better or worse than Insurrection or Nemesis? You know, like those last 2 or 3. Where are you at there?
This is better than Nemesis.
Okay.
Because Nemesis killed Data.
True. That'd be enough to do it.
I'm sorry. Well. That's it. Nemesis killed Data.
Enough.
This did nothing at all.
Nothing to offend me.
There's literally nothing in here that's lore destructive, and I don't think that this even takes place in the same universe as any of our normal classic Star Trek. So, sorry. In terms of being better or worse than the other films, Insurrection is better than this. Nemesis is worse than this because they killed Data.
All right, fair enough. All right, for me, I think I'm going to split the difference between you guys a little bit here. I'm going to go with a solid D+. I don't think it'll go right to C- for me. The runtime works.
D+.
It's not on D+. It's on Paramount Plus, so I'm going to call it Paramount minus.
But you have to give it 2 ratings. One of them is it's Star Trek.
Oh, true.
The second one is a film.
Okay, so as a film, D+, because I just don't. It didn't do anything to impress me in any particular area, so I can't mark it up because it just isn't offensive. As a Star Trek movie, Dude, gotta be a D-. It didn't do anything Trekky at all. There's no big brain problem that they tried to address at all. There was no thinking their way out of anything fun. It had the standard like ticking clock bomb plot, you know, the either or A/B testing ending. Do we zap the bad guy? Which one do I push? You just have to know the answer. It comes within you. Just do it. I'm like, fine, you guys tried to set that up early as his quirk, but I don't care. I thought the only way I could give this movie more points would be if the ending was Giorgio has them all at her bar and fucking kills them. Like she actually poisoned them and it wasn't just played for the laugh. Like if they all just keeled over and died, that would have been awesome. And I'd have been like, all right, cool.
The way to end this film properly would have been for Giorgio to go onto the other bloody ship, blow it up herself.
Right. I mean, if we're talking about proper endings, right? That's as close to redemption as she could get, Vader style. That's it. That's all. But they can't do that because they have to bring her back because they have a hope.
Well, her career is too big. She's too big of an actress to bring back. I'm surprised she signed on to do this at all. And I think it was only for contractual obligations.
$12 million.
Or it was just to have her on another Star Trek IP.
Because she's in everything, everywhere, all at once. I said the thing.
The question is, why did she want to do this show? I don't think she did. I honestly,
12 million reasons.
No, she gets paid more money to do other films. I think. That
I'm sure, but it's still 12 million.
Yeah,
right. But
million to waste what?
It's
3 weeks of my life.
It's also multiple months of your time. So
I don't think it took that long for this nonsense.
No, this was easy a 4 or 5 week project.
Yep.
I mean, it was limited sets, limited
yeah.
locations. You're not moving that much. Yeah, it's what it
a lot of body double
weeks.
going on in them fight scenes at age 62. I'm guessing.
Look, at a guess, I'm going to say it took them 3 months to shoot this.
I have to agree to disagree on that point because I don't see where they could have spent their time. Honestly.
Because they have to do reshoots and other things. I think they had to spend that much time on it, but I could be wrong. We'll find out in the future, possibly. But I think that the $120 million budget they spent on this.
I heard something like that.
Could have gone to making literally anything else, and it would have been better.
Good, exactly right. All right, boys, we got to wrap that up here because I do have to get going on some family stuff, but I do appreciate you guys popping in. It was a little last minute. We're definitely on a different night, so appreciate that. Magesguild, thank you very much. I know you put in a lot of work prepping up for this. We like your analysis as usual. As always, when you get into those deep cut references and other stuff, please send me that link to that to the Star Trek thing that you or to the other thing you said this kind of ripped off of. So
I'll definitely
send it over.
I'll definitely do that in the next few minutes. And cheers to both of you.
Thank you. You want to plug your channels and socials real quick because you're really active on there.
Right. So on YouTube, it's at Star Wars Complained, capital S, capital W, capital C, and on X, it's at Magesguild.org, capital M, capital G, capital O, Magesguild.org. Star Wars Complained has been actually getting some interesting views. I posted a video the other day that's just a clip of the yeet scene from Damsel, and it's got a tremendous amount of views in contrast to what I'm used to, with only 14 subscribers on that channel, which is only a month old.
Nice.
Millie Bobby Brown's popular.
Yeah, she is, and if that's the scene where she gets thrown off a bridge, I could see where that would be.
No, that's the scene where he just throws her off the bridge and she falls. But I did a video, and this is what I would like all people to watch. I did a video called "How the Rings of Power Actually Ended," and it's the scene of Sauron and Galadriel where she jumps off the cliff, and then it cuts to the scene of Castle. And then it cuts to as it
That's
should. All, folks.
As it should. All right, King, you got anything you want to plug, or are you going to do our profound goodbye so we can get out of here?
Well, see ya.